Well, that's interesting you say. I interviewed Mark Hartley for his film Machete Maidens Unleashed, which that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I actually haven't seen Not Quite Hollywood yet. I have it on DVD. I'm going to watch it when I get home. I'm not sure how they compare to each other, but I know this one has a lot of substance to it as far as the Philippines and the dictatorship. It's a very fun, good movie. And he said that you create a really collegial atmosphere, and you help make he says you can get lost at a big film festival, especially one as big as this, and he says that you really help the filmmakers feel like they're all with each other's films, and how do you do that? I mean, other than inviting them to other movies.
Yeah, I just try and make them realize, like, look, you're all like, you're now alumni, like, we want you to come back, and it's like, oh, you know, it's like, if you run into this director, shake his hands, because he broke his cherry at midnight as well. And it's also just the people. I think the films that we get, the directors are a certain breed, a certain type that like this material and are genuine film lovers.
I don't know if we call them genre filmmakers or what, but guys who make movies like that might be in a mess, are they more film enthusiasts than like indie film or art films? Are they more likely to like know this person, that person, be obsessed with a...
I think that directors who work in genre get films more, I think, especially if they're able to understand that with genre films, the core films, you can put a lot more themes into the films that people aren't going to be aware of. An example, I mean, is like Matt Reeves for Let Me In. That's like, this is like a really good way to put, a subversive way to put in themes about alienation and childhood. Yeah. So yeah, for them to realize that this area of film, which has been maligned, is actually just such a fertile ground to put in commentary and social commentary, I think kind of puts them above other people who look down on those horror films. Oh, it's all so bloody and everything. It's like, no, that's not really what it's about.
Didn't Buffy teach that to everyone? I mean, if you watch Buffy, you should know how unbelievably ripe metaphors like that's unbelievable. But Mark said you were the first person in the world that he sent a rough cut of Machete Maidens to. Was he trying to, was he sending it to you to hope on the deadline to get in, or was he asking for your feedback? Or?
Yeah, but both. I mean, he wanted to be the film festival and also wanted to get comments back from me. And that's actually something which is a little humbling sometimes. I'm like, not sure how this happened. And there's been a couple of films that I've seen now that I end up selecting, that when I saw the first cut, I gave them notes, and I said, you know what, you could probably take out this dialogue or this voiceover, and maybe the end of one of the cases was Insidious. The ending of Insidious was slightly changed, and I think it's from the notes that I supplied.
And changed for the better, then, I assume.
Yeah.
You sort of branched out. You've been here for a number of years, and you've got Action Fest. When does that take place? In April?
Yeah, Action Fest is a new festival which just had its first edition this year. It takes place in the first weekend of April in Asheville, North Carolina. I'm the festival director of it, and it is 25 international films all devoted to action. Our first edition in April, we gave a Lifetime Achievement Award to Chuck Norris.
Didn't he already have all Lifetime Achievement Awards? I don't know. Yeah.
The fun thing about it is that it's not so much about the star. This festival is very much about the people behind the camera.
The stunt people.
Let's give the stunt people, let's give the second unit and the action directors credit, because there's no Oscar for stunts or second unit, and without those guys, films are nothing. So we're really trying to make a case for that these guys need to get their respect and their due.
What's another genre that, obviously, it's like, boy, you know, you can have a comedy film festival, they rarely get Oscars, too.
And but it's also, action films are so broad, people don't kind of give them credit. I had a friend who's like, an academic, and she's like, oh, well, I like horror films, but I don't go see action films. I'm like, that's crap. You saw Born Identity, you saw Children of Men, and your favorite film is Aliens. Action films, I rest my case.
Here's a question. Have you read Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice?
No, I haven't.
Have you read Pride and Prejudice and Zombies?
I have heard lots about it, and I think I'm looking forward to, in 2 days' time, I finally get to sleep. I get to keep my own hours. I can go to bed at 10 o'clock if I want. That's right now a wild, crazy concept. And I've got some travel to other festivals, including Austin and Sitges, and so maybe I'll pack that on the plane.
Will you start with Jane, or are you going to go right to the zombies?
I think maybe I should start with Jane.
I'd like to think of you at like off-season, like in a rock garden, a Japanese rock garden, very calm, and because all you do is see zombies and machetes and horror.
What I am is I'm in my garage doing woodworking. And I've been some
a
kind of like
chainsaw?
a high power wood router, which is even more dangerous. So I realized at a certain point when my hobby became my job, I had to get another hobby. I needed it to be
Something
balanced
different.
out. Yeah. So I'll just go and I'll lose myself making things out of wood.
But you love all types of movies, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's the whole point. How can you? I don't understand anyone who wouldn't. I mean, I'm not a big gore fan, so unless it gets really good reviews, I don't see all the horror films. But if one stands out and people are talking about, it, then I'll check it out.
It's like a book critic who says, "Oh, well, I don't really like nonfiction." Like, you
Really?
have to, if you're a programmer, you have to have a well-rounded knowledge of cinema. You kind of have to sample and dabble in everything, and I feel like I do that genre-wise and also internationally, especially in Midnight Madness. And we've had films from Thailand, films from Hungary. This year we had our first film from mainland China, The Butcher, the Chef, and the Swordsman. So I like to give people different dishes from around the world.
Yeah, can you imagine turning down Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon? I mean, why they didn't put that in competition at Con, I'll never understand. They finally, it's very strange how.
And that's the other thing is like giving with Midnight Madness, giving a certain legitimacy to certain genres like martial arts, and I mean, it's fun to help validate these films.
Is the battle won, sir? I mean, it's hard to find critics who don't take movies like Let the Right One In. I mean, most people seem to accept that.
And there was one review of The Butcher, the Chef, and the Swordsman I read where the critics said that it was insulting to the intelligence, it was crude and vulgar and horrible and raw, it was convoluted. I'm like, okay, it was actually very straightforward, and you're actually kind of proving your intolerance and your ignorance of other cultures, because the film is rooted in Peking opera and stage performance tradition, which goes back years, and those plays are very vulgar because they'd have to, I mean, it's like someone saying that Shakespeare is vulgar.
Right, which
well,
he is.
That's what it's
His
all
body.
about. Yeah.
If you like him, his body.
And so yeah, there's sometimes people who don't get that, but you know what? Their loss.
My father and my brother wouldn't get that. When we went to China, my dad lived in Hong Kong. We went to China, and they said, "Well, what do you want to do?" I was like, "Well, I'd really like to go to the Peking Opera," and they never stopped laughing. They were like, "Yeah, we're going to go to Peking Opera." So you have, do you have a relationship with Con?
Pardon?
Do you have a relationship with Con? I mean, were you working with them on some of their midnight movies, or what was that?
For Can? Oh no, they do their own thing.
Oh, they do. I thought
yeah.
you had some official involvement.
No.
You're like, bring it on.
Bring it on. But it's interesting to see what they program for midnight, because the stuff that they program for midnight wouldn't fly in Toronto.
Well, they had a town called Panic.
They had a town called Panic. There was that, but then there were some other titles that I saw recently, like, well, their midnight is our vanguard, essentially. And even Town Called Panic, I had some of the audience who like, wait a minute, you're showing a G-rated film at midnight? They were like, come on, you can't be all blood and guts. You gotta have a little balance, and Town Called Panic is just so ridiculous and absurd that it worked really well.
Well, you've talked about some of your movies that you passed by. You're sort of very modestly, oh yeah, I passed on Paranormal Activity, or I passed on some other things that went on to great success. What's some of your favorite successes?
My favorite successes?
Directors or people that you championed and felt like you were early on and were able to...
Well, Takeshi Miike would be one of them for sure, and Eli Roth. Who else? But then there's also like Jim Mickle for Stakeland. I cannot wait to see where he goes from here. I really can't. So.
And sorry?
Did you just come in the last 5 minutes?
No. We've been here for...
I've been notified that we have someone here for film.
Oh.
I'm just trying to figure out
Where they are? I did see a woman, Chinese woman carrying She knows the drill. She should just look for it. Alright, I'll be over shortly.
I'll give you 4 minutes.
Let's go.
The,
Just double check here.
please. So she hasn't texted you.